Hello, Cancer Warriors. This is Tanya with Pantaloons podcast, and today we have Mary Crawford with us. Welcome.
Thank
How are you?
you.
How are you today?
I'm great. It's great to be here. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, Mary. Can you tell the audience what your zone of genius is?
I am an energy intuitive or energy healer. There's all kinds of different names for that, energist. I've been doing it for about 20 years, and what I do is I read bodies. And your body talks to me and tells me exactly what it wants and what it doesn't want, where there might be blockages in the energy flow, could be old energies, could be ancestral stuff. So I help you get rid of that, and I help you make sure that all your glands and organs are happy and that your body's getting the food that it wants and the exercise that it wants, because your body knows what it needs to be healthy and thriving. So that's what I do. I also
Uh,
talk to animals.
I 1,000% believe that your body knows what it needs, and I advocate about that a lot, about listening to what your body says and what it wants. I have a million questions, I'm sure, right? So let's start with how is this different or similar to Reiki? Do you know? Like,
Um, okay, so Reiki is hands-on healing or remote healing where you're actually sending energy to the client. I don't send energy. At most, I pull energy out, help you release things. I identify what's there and help you get rid of it if it's not serving you, or help you pull in other energy that is going to serve you better, like the white light or the rose light or whatever it is. The earth is always contributing. Did you know that you can put your feet on the earth and ask the earth to give you all the vitamins that you need that day?
no.
Yes.
I,
And she
I
will.
did know that if you stand barefoot on the earth for 6 minutes, it adjusts your electrical circuit. Like it
Yeah.
helps you ground, literally helps you ground. Like we are
Grounding.
energy beings.
It's great to be out there barefoot, but we have 3 feet of snow right now, and I'm not going out there barefoot. So I just know that I can put my feet on the floor and connect to the earth. And so just know that and do it because it's possible.
Yeah, I like to do that. I have hardwood floors in my house, so I walk around barefoot in my house an awful lot. And yeah, like how would that work with synthetic flooring? The same, just because
You
it's
could be
energy?
on the 20th floor of a big building and still connect to the earth. It's your intention that drives it. It's quantum physics, basically. I have clients all over the world. I don't connect with them physically in person. I connect with them over the phone. And I've been doing it for a long time before there was internet. And it's the intention to connect. We're all connected already. But when you have that intention to make the connection, um, it's instantaneous. And I believe the same thing happens with our Mother Earth. Just make the intention that I want to connect, and you'll get so that you can feel it. You can feel that you're connected. So,
Yes. I've been working with energy more years than I'll say out loud, but this is not necessarily a subject that we've broached here on Power Pantaloons very often. So I wanted clarification for the audience. I
yeah.
love energetic healing, and I know that there are hundreds of different ways to go about doing that, and Reiki is well known, and
Mhm.
a lot of the other energetic healings aren't as well known.
Absolutely. Yeah. I often get asked, is that Reiki? And nope, but energy is energy. So, you know, lots of different
The
ways to do it.
the way I like to describe it is the way that mushrooms are all one mushroom, right? Like if you look at the science behind how mushrooms operate, it's like this giant neural network, basically.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so they can see it and prove it in mushrooms, right? And I
Mhm.
feel that humans are the same way. We
Mhm.
just are not advanced scientifically enough to see that. We
Mhm.
are all interconnected. And the way that I know that that's true is when you meet somebody new, your body instantly tells you whether or not you either lean in, and it's very subtle, or the hair on the back of your neck stand up. You
Mhm.
know when you're in a situation when your body's like red alert, red alert, red alert. So these subtle clues, if you take the time to develop them and listen to what your body is saying, you can learn to trust it, and it'll speak louder,
Yes. Yeah,
which is
and really fast. Another thing that I do that is really helpful for people who are just getting into this is I teach dowsing. And dowsing is a way to use a tool to tap into your intuition, your higher knowing really fast and get answers and about anything, about whether your body wants to eat an apple or whether you want to buy that new car or whatever it is, you can get answers from your higher consciousness, from your intuition quickly. And what I found is that as people use it more and more, they don't need the tools anymore. They just have that instant knowing. So
yeah,
it's a great thing to try.
absolutely. You can develop it, and it can develop very quickly once your body realizes that you're paying attention.
Mhm.
For me, interestingly enough, like I was driving and I had the intuition to turn and I did not do that, and I ended up in a car accident, not a big one, but
Yeah.
I was like, huh. And I paid attention to it. So the next time I had that like little inkling, I went a different way home, and I'll never know one way or the other if it
Mhm.
made an impact. But my body was happy that I did that, and so it started telling me more and more.
Yeah.
And it's honestly why I'm still here, listening to what my body said. I
Mhm.
did not have very many symptoms of my uterine cancer. In the beginning, it was just a heaviness in my lower abdomen. And I did some bleeding, and I went to the emergency room, and they did all these testing. There was nothing in my blood. So they ruled cancer right out because there was no markers in my blood.
Mhm.
Surprise! You,
Mhm.
people can have cancer and not have markers in their blood. Uh, Ultrasound, pap smear, transvaginal ultrasound, something called a sonohistogram. All of those things came back negative or
Wow.
inconclusive. In order to find my cancer, they had to do a D&C.
Oh,
I
wow.
knew there was something wrong with my body. And so every time the gynecologist was like, okay, so well, this is the result of the test. These are the next steps we could take. All right, well, then we're taking those next steps. She never gave me any pushback. She didn't fight with me. I feel very blessed that I didn't have to fight my gynecologist at all. Um, so learning to trust your body can save your life, like
Mhm.
it saved my life. A
Mhm.
healthy uterus is 4 ounces, and when they took mine out, it was over 10 pounds. And there
Wow.
were very few symptoms and no evidence of cancer in my body until they actually did the D&C.
Mm. Wow. Good for you for listening and really, speaking up for yourself, advocating for yourself.
I that's one of my bigger soapboxes. I love to stand on it and talk to people and teach people how to advocate for themselves
Mhm.
and remind them that their doctor is fireable, because you absolutely are like, and they're not
Thank
perfect.
God.
It's a practice. It's literally called a medical practice.
Mhm.
I understand they have lots of experience and lots of training, but you live in your body 24/7. So you
Mhm.
are the expert of your body. And if you know something is wrong, you are correct.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
Yeah. So the other part of dealing with cancer or any chronic illness or even a cold or the flu is what's the energy behind it? What's your body trying to tell you? And I have found in like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and every single time that there's been cancer or diabetes or Alzheimer's or anything like that, it's been an energetic thing behind it, a core belief, some ancestral thing that's been handed down.
Trauma.
Something, yeah, something that's called a miasm, which is basically you know, three ancestors above me had diabetes and my mom had it, and so I'm going to get it. And it's really a strong energy that's on your DNA that can be reversed. It can be gotten rid of. So energy work is basically what your body's asking for. Saying, let's get rid of the energy, and then let's also at the same time work on the physical. Am I eating the right foods? Am I getting the nutrients that I need and getting the exercise and the sleep and whatever else? Yeah. So,
Yes, absolutely. Every every survivor that I've had a conversation with talks about that. Uh, you know, I had throat cancer because I didn't know how to speak for myself. I
mhm,
had ovarian cancer because I was molested at the age of 8. Like there
mhm,
there always seems to be something. And I do think that if you don't work on your personal development work, your shadow work, whatever you want to call it, right? Like
mhm,
work through your traumas. I'm not saying that you caused your cancer. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it starts as a dis-ease in your psyche and then it can turn into dis-ease.
mhm,
I'm not saying it's your fault, but I am saying it's your responsibility to work through the issues,
mhm,
whatever your spiritual beliefs are, long as you have a path, right? Like follow the path,
mhm.
do the things. And some people just don't want to do the things.
Yeah, that I run into, that's the biggest thing is I'm comfortable with my lifestyle. That sounds too hard. I'll just take my chances, and yeah. And when you think about all the different, you talked about throat cancer and uterine cancer or ovarian cancer, but breast cancer, this is our heart. This is our divine feminine energy. In this, your breasts are in your heart chakra. So if your heart chakra is not holding on to a lot of self-love and self-compassion and empowered energy, my personal belief is that is kind of a setup for things to start going wrong. It could be heart disease, but it could be breast cancer. It could be lung cancer. They're all kind of right in that beautiful heart chakra. And that's where you want to look at the heart and say, what are you holding on to? Did my dad believe that success would never come to him and that nobody in his family has ever been successful, and so we're all going to be poor? And are you holding on to that energy? Or did your mom believe that women should never be taken care of, should never be nurtured, should always be hardworking and just have to sacrifice? That energy can be really powerful in the heart chakra, and again affecting the breast, because our heart chakra and our sacral chakra, which is your uterine area, are the two together are what create the divine feminine energy. And both of them really need to be strong for you to be your powerful divine goddess energy.
Yeah. I I spent an entire year going from one appointment to the other, being in the tunnel of cancer, and then I was released back into the wild to go live my normal life. What does that even mean, right? So, and then I was having problems, and my friend said to me, of course you're having problems. The thing that defines your femininity tried to murder you. That's going to cause some issues that you're going to have to work through. So that I did, and that's something that I help others with, obviously, right? Like how to really start feeling, building the relationship back with the divine feminine.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, and it's really good to have a coach for that. I mean, it's hard to do that alone if you've never done it before, right?
Yeah, yes, right. Like, so when I did it, I didn't know that there were coaches. I, you know, so what I do now is I am the resource I needed and didn't have when I was
Mhm.
going through it. I didn't find out until like 10 years after I had been through it that there are volunteer organization, nonprofit organizations where people volunteer to drive you to and from your appointments.
Mhm.
Whew, Lordy, I should not have been driving myself to my radiation appointments at like the where I was. I should not have been driving a vehicle. Absolutely not. But I had to because I didn't have any other choice. I had to go to these appointments and I didn't have anybody to take me. My
And you didn't
sister
know.
was at
Yeah.
work and I didn't know, right? And my conversation with the social worker, the one time that I had the conversation with the social worker was like, so what do you need? I don't know. What do I need? Right? Like, you don't know what you don't know. So you can't ask questions about stuff you don't even know is even a realm of possibility, right? Like that conversation would have went much differently if she had said, so these are the common questions that I get. And maybe that would have sparked something in my head to be like, oh yeah, right, that makes sense. And the conversation would have went differently and I would have had more resources.
Is that something you've put together for your clients?
Resources?
That,
Yeah,
yeah, that kind of question to go to your doctor and say, this is what you need to ask them
yeah,
and
yes. So the six things I wish I knew before my first radiation appointment. That
Mhm.
yes. Um,
Mhm.
I actually have created a medical records tracker, and that's something that that I did do back then. But I've made this beautiful PDF, right? Like you print it out and you write in all your stuff, like your medication list, your hydration list, like your allergy list, your
Mhm.
appointment list, because I promise you, you are not going to remember what that doctor said to you.
Mhm.
And I also promise you, you're not going to remember the question that you want to ask them when you get there.
Mhm.
And interestingly enough, I'm going through a situation now where I'm supposed to be using my own advice, and I'm finding that I'm not, even though I know that it's logical that I should be doing this. When I went to my last appointment, I had questions and I didn't ask them because I had not written them down. So the shoe fits over here too, right? So write it down and
Write it down.
take it with you. Record it if you have to, right? Like HIPAA applies to you. You're the patient, so you get to share what you want to share. So if you want to make a recording of that, you're well within your rights to do so.
Yeah, turn your phone on and record it. I recommend getting a really beautiful journal, something that just every time you look at it, it makes you feel good. And that's where you put everything, not only all of the doctor's information, but your personal beliefs and feelings about what's going on as well. The questions that you want to ask, everything in there.
Yep. Your doodles, your coloring, your what essential oils you wore that day, whether or not it was sunny out, how you felt, all of that is important to put down.
Mhm.
And I didn't journal as much as I should have. And I do advocate for doing that because the process of getting it onto paper really does help in your healing.
Mhm.
It really does.
Yeah, and putting on paper the future self that you see is really important as well, because that's how, I mean, you want to describe in as much detail as possible what you're going to be doing 6 months from now, running on the beach, playing with your kids, going out on a fancy date with your husband, buying a whole new wardrobe, because you want to really be telling the universe, this is the future that I'm seeing, and this is what I want you to bring to me now.
I'm expecting not only to make it through this ordeal, but I'm expecting to thrive once I'm through. And I understand how difficult it is to be in the diagnosis tunnel where you cannot imagine a life after cancer. I was there. I walked that path, and I know how difficult it is to see a future. And now, like in March, so about when this is airing, I will be celebrating 17 years cancer free. And thank you. And from what I can say is there have been days, weeks, and even months where I don't remember that I was a diagnosis. And 16 years ago, if you had said that to me, I would have laughed at you, right? Like that didn't make any sense because all it is appointment after appointment. So, what Mary is saying is so important. Visualize, taste it, smell it, feel it, because all of those things are not differentiated in your brain. Your brain is like, oh, that's how it is. Your brain sees that as reality when you visualize that well. And
Mhm.
then the universe goes, oh, that's what you want.
Mhm. Yeah. Have you read Biology of Belief by Dr. Lipton?
I have not.
Okay, it's one I highly recommend anybody who wants to dive into a little bit more about how the cells work and how your emotions and your thoughts communicate with your cells. And and he was a cellular biologist at the University of Wisconsin here, and came up with so much insight into individual cells having, each cell has a heart, each cell has a brain, each cell has a skin that, and each cell is really, really listening to every thought and every emotion that you have. And I like to picture the cells like little golden retriever puppies. They're gonna mess up, but they really want to make you happy, right? And they're
That
gonna,
sounds exactly like a golden retriever
right.
puppy.
Yeah, they will do anything to make you happy, but they don't always get it right. And so the more you love them, the more you just send them messages of love and you got this, and I understand, and yes, it's a little hard, but you got this, it's gonna work, and I love you, I love you, I love you. Those puppies grow into the most beautiful big golden retriever dogs. And yeah, think of yourselves that way, you know.
That's a cool visualization.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking of myself as 100 billion puppies. That's great.
Little tiny miniature puppies.
Oh, my microscopic puppies. That
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
But they talk, talk to them, talk to yourselves every day. Talk to yourselves before you get out of bed in the morning. How are you feeling, cells? What do you need from me today? I hope you know how much I love you. I really, really appreciate, liver. You work so hard for me. I mean, I couldn't survive without you. You're doing such a great job. Thank you. So talk to the cells.
The science studies where they have students talk to plants, and they have some plants that they talk lovingly to,
Mhm.
and other plants that they talk nasty and horrible to.
Mhm.
I and obviously there's a reaction, right? And you can
Mhm.
see it. Um, and what is the name of that Japanese man who did the
I can see his face, but I don't remember names. Starts with
but
an
you
I.
but you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah, yeah.
where you talk to
He did
water
the snow crystals too, the ice crystals with the
and
rock music and the Mozart, and yeah.
and it changes how the crystalline structure of the water is.
Hmm. Yeah. And every
For if
cell in your body is like 70% water.
Yes, exactly.
So what are you talking, what are you bombarding those cells with every single day? Do you ever talk about the vibration of food?
No, I don't, but I should, right? Like
Well, there's no shoulds, if you feel like it. But everything you put into your mouth has a vibration, whether it's water or pizza or um, apples or whatever. And your body is always trying to synchronize with what you're putting into it. It's called entrainment. It's like, have you seen, grandfather clocks or the clocks with the pendulums? If you put a bunch of those in a room and you just set it all up and they're all
They
going the
will
same time,
synchronize.
the next morning they're all going together. They synchronize. The cells in your body are trying to synchronize with the food that you're giving it. Or the essential oils that you're wearing, or the perfumes, or the soaps, or whatever you're putting on your body, the cells are trying to synchronize with that, because think of your cells perceiving that food as a message. This is what I want you to be like. So if you're eating organic kale, that's a pretty high vibration, and your cells are going to try to train up to that higher vibration. If you're eating packaged, chocolate chip cookies, that's a pretty low vibration, right? In fact, those kinds of foods usually have like a zero vibration, like no energy at all in them. So
Yeah.
why would you feed your body something that has no energy? Right? Because isn't the purpose of food to be energy? So
It it is. There's food is such a complex subject, and capitalism plays a whole big part into what people can afford to eat, and why so many people have to eat prepackaged garbage. Like that's a whole different subject, right? Like, so you do the best you can with what you have, and you feed yourself the best that you can. Like, yes.
yeah, but just thinking about it, does my body want this? Is it going to nourish me? Right.
Yes, yes, and there are, in the last year and a half, I have shed 75 pounds. I have started doing what I should have done when I first got my diagnosis, right? Like, nutrition was the one thing I did not fix. I fixed a whole bunch of other things, but I did not actually actively work on my nutrition, and I still ate garbage. There's complex reasons behind all of that, but little changes, right? So we started with no second plate, right? And then we went from a dinner plate to a lunch plate, and then no soda. And what we're working on right now is no excess sugar, and no coffee. It's not going so well, but
Try,
I'm working on it.
try this mushroom coffee. Yeah, it's good.
Well, during the week, I do a version of a I have created my own version of a mud water, which is similar to a mushroom
Yeah.
coffee. Like, and on weekends I still have coffee. We're working towards it. We're making progress. We're not where I want to be yet, but that's okay, right? I have been soda free for 8 months,
That's
almost a year.
fantastic.
Um,
That's really, especially the diet soda is so toxic.
oh, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible for you. I don't use any of the alternative sugars. If I'm gonna do that, I use honey. I
Mhm.
use, and I don't like clover honey because I think clover honey is bitter. You're going to do a wild honey or an orange blossom or a blueberry or something else.
Mhm.
My husband thinks I'm a honey snob. He might be right. So where was I going with this?
Food
Oh,
in general.
so yeah, so making little changes,
Mhm.
but I don't deny myself. If I want ice cream, I have it, but I don't. I'm not eating this giant bowl anymore. I'm eating this little teacup size, 5 or 6 bites, and that's all I need. I don't even need to have a whole piece of cake anymore. If it's cheesecake or carrot cake, I'll have like 3 or 4 bites, and then I'm done. I don't need the whole thing. I
Yeah.
just wanted the taste of it, and then I can move on.
Can I give you a quick recipe?
Of course you can.
Okay. Have you ever tried nice cream?
No.
Okay, so basically you take 3 frozen bananas, take the peels off and put them in the freezer and make them frozen. And you put them in your food processor or your blender and add like a teaspoon of vanilla, Um, you can add some chopped nuts if you want, but basically it's just that vanilla and the bananas, and you blend it. And at first it's going to look like nothing. And then after all of a sudden it turns into like a soft serve ice cream. And it is so good. And you could eat the whole thing and still, it'd be good for you. Really high vibration food. Um, after you've done all the blending, you can add in chopped nuts or coconut or something like that if you want. You can change the flavor by adding good cocoa powder into it. The bananas are sweet enough that you don't have to add any sugar. You could add some dates if you want it to be a little sweeter. Take the seed, take the pits out, but throw some dates in there too.
That's
But yeah.
that's beautiful. I haven't been buying ice cream, but I like Greek yogurt.
Mhm.
So I'll have a little bowl of Greek yogurt, which is a version of that, right? Like it's less fattening than the ice cream is. I'll throw some berries in it or
Yeah.
some dark chocolate, right?
Mhm.
Like milk chocolate is not so good for you because of all the sugar, but the dark and I can eat 90% chocolate. So my
Yeah.
husband is like, that's gross. It's beautiful with all of the antioxidants in it, and it just
And if you need a little sweetener, dates are pretty good for you, but also something like monk fruit. I have not found anybody who has a bad reaction to monk fruit. It's a really natural sugar. Um,
fantastic.
has that same kind of sweetness.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Like small incremental changes. And if you start these changes now before you get a diagnosis, whatever that diagnosis might end up being, right? Like if you start working on that, uh, you could maybe not ever get that diagnosis, or you will be in a much better shape if you do end up with a diagnosis.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Of course, I'm a big plant proponent. So, if you want to know more about that, I'm happy to talk to people about that. But yeah,
Yeah, there's research out there. I really do enjoy being a carnivore, but I eat a lot of vegetables now with the change in my diet. I only have like potatoes or bread
yeah,
and
there's no
that kind of
judgment.
thing.
I'm just throwing stuff out there. I
Yeah,
know that people have created some healing by by actually almost worse than the meat is the dairy. And that's hard for a lot of people to get rid of because dairy actually has a component in it called casein, and casein has been compared to morphine. It is that addictive, especially when it's condensed into a cheese form, where it's, basically they're taking the liquid out and condensing all the proteins. And cheese is really addictive, but there's a reason for that. It's got casein in it, and casein is in there. It's mother's milk as well, because you want the baby cow, the baby goat, the baby people to come back for more, right? Excuse me, I'm gonna
bless you.
So you want them to keep coming back for more until they're big enough that they can eat solid food. And that's what it's meant for. That's what dairy is meant for. It's not meant to be consumed after that. So
Well, I know all of that, and I'm still a mouse.
it's
I'm
hard.
very. It is. I like. I'd rather give up coffee than cheese, right? Like
Pick up some good vegan cheeses. They are getting astoundingly better than they ever were before. And just try them. Just try them. I recommend
maybe.
Biolife and Mayoka. Um, Biolife is my favorite. But
Okay. Well, I'll consider that. Cheese is hard for me. I'm not ready. I think I would give up meat first.
okay.
And you know, right? But it's like incremental changes,
Yeah.
and you have to be willing to do it, right? Like right now, I'm not willing to give up cheese.
And food should be fun, It's not supposed to be, well, I need to rephrase that. Meals should be a time of joy and not suffering, right? Food is not just to be fun. I mean, if you just think of food as fun, then okay, cookies are fun. I can eat those. Ice cream is fun, but also nourishing your body and just make it beautiful, make it something appetizing, and you know,
Ritualize it, make
yeah,
it a sacred thing. A lot of us eat on the go while we're at work and we're shoving stuff
in the car.
in between the things instead of
Mhm.
setting aside the time to actually make it a sacred act. And you're right, nourishing your body should be a, a fulfilling thing, and the haste in which we are society has just sort of morphed it into makes that very difficult, and food is complex, and there are a lot of things that go into eating, emotional eating, addiction, you know,
Culture.
culture. So it's a very important. Obviously, we need it to survive. But it's still a very important conversation to have, and you want to do the best that you can, setting yourself up for success. And part of the reason that I wasn't able to do that for most of my adult life has everything to do with the fact that I got heavy because of the sexual abuse when I was a child.
Mhm.
I I made a fat suit as armor, so it wouldn't happen again, and working through all of that trauma takes a long time for some people. It did for me. I'm still working through it. I've done a lot of work, and I feel that I've reached a spot because I finally have been able to release weight, and I hadn't been able to do that in 40 years. So I must have made some breakthrough to allow that to happen.
Yeah, yeah, you're giving yourself more power by letting yourself release that old trauma. You do inner child work too, right? You've
Yes.
done some of that. That's so important, especially if you've had abuse in the past. Talking to that little child and giving her a lot of
Yes.
compassion.
And that inner child work, and even nutrition, like I consider that part of the holistic part, right? Like, so for holistic cancer wellness specialists, the holistic is everything that isn't allopathic. Like, and what I mean by allopathic is Western medicine. It's the
Mhm.
standard of care of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy. That's right. And sometimes immunotherapy, right? So all of that is what a traditional doctor would tell you that you need to do, but there's so much that you need to incorporate in that, and you're going to create your own personal blueprint, and it is intuitively based. Like, what you need, your body is going to tell you what things you need. Some people will say Reiki yes, and other people will be like, no. Like, and it's just in how you're pulled to it. And
Mhm.
some of the things that I used while I was going through mine, grounding. I loved running around barefoot. That was fantastic. We did detoxifying baths, aromatherapy. I had beautiful aromatherapy massages once a week with at the time it was Young Living oil. They have this raindrop technique, and we used
Mhm.
it, slathered my back in almond oil or whatever, and then just sprinkled on all of the essential oils, and I smelled like Italian cooking for the 2 days afterwards. Um,
Oh, healing.
Flower essences.
Mhm.
My oncologist, because you have to talk to your oncologist. They have to be on the same page as you because you need everybody to be in alignment. I had a conversation with him. I'm like, these are the things I'm doing. He's like, no herbs. And I said, why? And he said, because it will counteract the chemotherapy. He said, as long as you're not putting it in your mouth, I don't care what you do. All right, that was enough alignment for me. That worked for me. What will work for you is going to be completely different, but holistic, everything. The spiritual side counts, guys.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so much, I mean, we're learning things so fast now. I mean, faster than we ever have in the history of the human race. Science is advancing, but even beyond science, there's just a lot of great information coming to the planet right now. And so if you're looking for something alternative, there's so many, so many things out there. Um, I guess I want to caution that you really connect with your own body and ask, is that something that you want? Is that something that's going to help you? Um, because there, as always, there's going to be some people who are offering things that don't really do anything. They just want your money. So, but there's, like you're doing the mushrooms. There's some really great mushroom people out there that are offering beautiful products that can help. Um, there's energy workers and there's nutrition people and there's just all kinds of stuff out there. So you don't
Yes,
have to do it alone.
absolutely not. Find yourself a support network. I, one of my favorite sayings is it takes a village to raise a Tanya. I You can't do it on your own. Human beings are not meant to do it on our own. We are meant to be a community, and there will be times when you need somebody else's help, and there will be times when you're helping the other people. That is the natural flow of life. And for some people, it's very difficult to accept help, and you have to learn how to do that, right? Allow people to help you. People do want to help you. Build your support network now.
Mhm.
You need your support network. It's super important. So
Yeah.
Mary, I understand that you have a free gift for the audience.
Yeah, I do a reading. It's a free discovery call. So it's about a 30-minute call. But before you even get on the call with me, I am checking in with your body and checking on all the systems in your body. Your respiratory system, your reproductive system, your immune system, all the different systems to find out if they're happy, if there's anything that's kind of off balance. And so I get all of this information and share that with you on the call. And then I give you ideas of where you can go from there. It's not a call where I do a lot of healing, but it's a call where I really give you the information that your body wants you to know. So that's it's on my website. You can go to thejoyofbeingwell.com and just click on schedule. And it's the first thing that comes up, the free discovery call.
And I will make sure that that goes into the show notes on the YouTube in the little description box. It'll be right there for you. I really want to thank you for being on the show today, Mary.
Thank you so much for having me. I always love just getting as much information out there as possible. So
Absolutely. All
thanks.
right. Until next time, Cancer Warriors, go get your annual tests. Go do it, whether you want to or not. Just do it. Till next time.